Right Before I Go is a powerful play written by Zimmerman about suicide. This play brings to life the last words written in letters by individuals lost to suicide, including celebrities, veterans, kids that were bullied, LGBTQ, and the clinically depressed, and those who have survived suicide attempts, finding a reason to live again. This play will be at the Monroe Theatre Guild from June 9th through June 12th. You can find tickets on the Monroe Theatre Guild website or calling their number. This is only the second viewing of this in the country. This episode of Wisco Legacy is best viewed on YouTube.
In the last couple of years, we've dealt with COVID. We've talked about COVID very candidly. We talk about cancer candidly. We talk about the common cold and flu candidly, but we still don't talk about mental health candidly. It took me a while to get through it, honestly. I started and stopped 17 times before I got through it. It's very powerful. It's very real. And it's kind of nice to be in a position to not be doing something with fluff. The other thing that I really like about it is there's a turning point, and then there's a message of hope at the end. And for people who are suffering from mental health challenges, people who are suicidal, people who are depressed, and that's the biggest thing they're looking for is hope. And that's the message we intend to bring.
I serve as the vice president of the Tugs board, and I've known Jeff for many years, and I know that he's passionate about the topic, so that was one reason that I wanted to get involved anyway. But also my best friend is a mental health provider here in town. And really, her job is very difficult, and I know it's very difficult. I talk to her often, and I can see that it weighs on her. Some of the issues and the questions and the problems that she has to deal with. Without sharing, I can just see that she takes on quite a bit. But we need people like that, right? So that's the whole point. If this helps me walk even a moment in her shoes, so I kind of know when she needs me more, how to help her, be a better friend, then I'm willing to basically go to the end of the earth.
Mental health is a subject that is very near and dear to me, starting with my grandparents down to my parents, and then things that have been passed down to me. I've struggled a lot in the past. I wasn't always sure that I would live to be this old, and I thought that, I don't know, maybe this play would be an opportunity, not just to get more, hands-on acting experience, because I love acting, but also because the material is something I can really relate to, and something that I think needs to be spread, which is the whole break the silence message of the play.
I actually have had very little acting experience, and I did want to get on stage and try something. And this topic it speaks to me. I recently went back to school to be a counselor. I just graduated in December, and this is a big part of why. Mental health and suicide, and knowing that this is a permanent decision for a momentary problem. I know it can seem big and insurmountable, but really you just got to get to the next moment. This is something that I think if we can talk about it more, make it less taboo, it can be less of a problem. Coincidentally, loved ones of two of my friends, so two separate people, they've had loved ones that both have completed suicide since this rehearsals have started, which just drives home the point of it's not going away.
What brought me to this play was the topic of suicide and how it's so quiet and hush, and nobody wants to talk about it. And I think that this was a great way to put on a play in the theater to release this to the public and tell them that it's okay to talk about suicide and it's okay to not be okay.
Well, I had recently moved to the Madison area after doing a lot of theater in the Milwaukee and Chicago area, and just seeing different audition notices, nothing really got me. I saw the audition notice for Right Before I Go, researched the play, didn't really find much on it because it is new. Zimmerman had the first community theater production, I believe last week, and decided to show up for the audition. Learned a lot more about the show, reading sides before I actually did my audition, and it just really had a nice impact. It would be something that I had never done before. Just the emotions, the comedy. It was amazing when I got the call to be cast. We do play multiple roles, which is a lot of fun because you do have a different range as an actor, but also as a human being trying to experience the different lives that these people led.
The impact I think this is going to bring to rural Monroe and the surrounding area, the people that come down here, is the fact of, one, it's okay to talk about feelings. It's okay to have bad days. It's okay to reach out. It's okay if you're the person that's being reached out to take the time to help that person. This piece addresses everything. Bullying, the LGBTQ plus community, superstars, average people, ordinary people. And I think the other impact that that's going to bring is that I want people to understand that this is not new. This is something, I mean, we have a 19th century lady who wrote a letter and died by suicide. We have a Japanese poet who did the same thing. It doesn't matter what walk of life you're from, where you're from, and that's one of the other impacts that I want to bring, is that this is something that affects everybody. And I would really like to just have everybody feel that message of hope, be empowered to walk out of the theater and say, yes, I'm going to go forward and I'm going to take that step and I'm going to start being more kind and I'm going to be more aware of my surroundings and I'm going to ask people if they're okay and I'm going to take the time to make sure that if they tell me they're not okay, that I hopefully can say a few words to them, and they will be.
So really the only thing that I am hoping, because I'm a true believer in the small first steps being the most important. They're usually the hardest and therefore the most important. I just really hope for dialogue, right? That's all we can hope for. We can't assume or think or even hope that one thing is going to change an issue as big as dying of suicide. And so if it opens a little dialogue between a parent and their child, or siblings or best friends, like in my case, that's worth it. Then it's really worth it. And really, at the end of the day, that's all I'm hoping for, is a little bit of dialogue, trust among siblings or partners or parents or teachers. That's my hope.
I think that living in, like you said, the rural community, living in a less populated part of the state, there's a certain amount of stigma, a certain amount of don't talk about it, a lack of accessibility with mental health. And I think that any art form, anything that's released, anything that people can just come and see that can even stir up conversations, stir up uncomfortable conversations, make some of the best art is art that confronts you. And I think that in an area where mental health, suicide, etc. is sort of a repressed topic, I think being confronted could be very powerful to some people here. And I think that if one person can feel comfortable speaking up about thoughts that were previously repressed, then that's all worth it.
I'm really hoping it starts some conversations. It helps people being okay to talk about it, not just in whispered tones behind shut doors. Like, just have a conversation, because someone can talk about, I'm feeling like killing myself. Okay, let's talk about that. Just saying, let's talk about that. I understand how you're feeling. I have felt that way before too. What does that mean to you? Do you really want to kill yourself right now? Or are you just like, I just want all this other shit to go away? What does that mean? And you know what? If they just say, I just want it to go away, you get to have a conversation about that. And if they say, no, I got a gun and I know what I'm going to do, well, then you can say, all right, let's go get you some help. And maybe you just save somebody's life. So that's what I'm hoping for.
I think that it could have a great impact if people would come to the play and watch it, listen to it, and take what we're doing to heart.
One of the things that I have learned as we've done the show is the fact that there's so many different lives and so many different stories. It's interesting when you hear the notes that are read, you can kind of identify with little pieces of each one and kind of picture friends and family and people that you've come across over the years. And you never know what someone is thinking and what they're going through. So I think it's important for people to realize that they're not alone and that they can break the silence just by speaking up.
It's been a very eye-opening experience. We have a great cast, a lot of talent out there. So it's wonderful. I hope everybody comes to see it. And I really hope that, like I said, the hope is there's open dialogue that happens after the show. So those individuals sitting in the crowd, sitting in the audience, taking all of that whole message that we're sharing in, just go home, And as hard as it might be, as difficult as that might be, that first step, that are you okay, do you want to talk step, is difficult, but it is the most important. So honestly, take it. Even if you're not here to see the show, still have those conversations.
It's been interesting in the sense it's very emotional every week to be reading and reliving these suicide notes. The support that the other casting crew has given each and every one of us has been amazing.
I hope that you're moved.
Come and see the play.
We're really looking forward to have people here. It is going to be a very tough play to get through. There's a lot of with the realness of it and the rawness of it, and to see what these actors and actresses have done to bring these voices of the past to life is very impactful, and we would really appreciate the support for people coming out to support it, buying tickets, and then spreading the message afterwards. So, and I'd also like to thank the Theatre Guild and the Monroe Theatre Guild board and the community of Monroe for supporting this. And at the end of the day, let's break the silence.